I joined in 1992. I used to work for a bank and there was a leaflet that came through the door, and I actually joked with my husband to say, wouldn't it be great to be able to do something more exciting like that? And he laughed at me and he said, you know what, people like you just don't join the police, don't be silly. And I said, why not? Why can't I? I think everybody has anxieties, but I think as a woman there's some anxieties that I had that maybe my male counterparts may have less of. The biggest one is always about being assaulted, and it's quite macho really, chasing after people and grabbing them and on the floor, etc. So I had those anxieties, but more so my family had those anxieties as well. And the other thing was I had never really worked night shifts in my previous job, and there were some anxieties from the family around how would that fit into family life later on, leaving a job that was Monday to Friday. I was married. If you want to have children, how on earth is that going to work? So there was all those anxieties as well. But when I started, there were very few female police officers, and even fewer in any of the specialist departments. So, one of the things was that there was always this worry about confidence, about do I have to be better than everybody else? Because actually, people are going to say that she can't do the job because she's a girl, or she can't do the job because she's an Asian officer. But both of those caused some anxieties to begin with, especially when you looked around and you went into offices like, I'm now a detective superintendent. There were no detective superintendents that were women in this force when I joined. In fact, I remember going into my very first time into a CRD office, and there were two women in there. One was the office manager, and there was only one DC. And she was a real trailblazer for me, because I thought, gosh, it must be really hard for her working with no other women in this office in a very macho culture. There was also all the things about, the very physical things around uniform. When I tell new recruits now that, my truncheon was half the size of a male officer's truncheon, and it fitted inside a handbag, and I had a handbag that I used to have to take out with me. That's all quite alien now. Those things we weren't allowed to wear trousers. We had to wear skirts, and we had to almost petition to say, when you're on night shift and you're on late shift and you're climbing over fences, a skirt is really not very practical. Please, can we have some female trousers? So all of these things have changed to try and, ensure that there is that level of a much better level of equality than we had before. Whilst we've made some really good progress in physical numbers of women in policing, I don't think we've made sufficient progress around progression. I look to see where are my next cohort of female superintendents going to come from, where are my next cohort of female chief superintendents going to come from, how many chief inspectors do we have that are female. So I think we need to do a lot of work around progression to overcome those barriers. There are certain things that women are disproportionately victims of: domestic abuse, forced marriage, honour-based abuse, FGM. All of these things disproportionately affect women, and actually a number of those things disproportionately affect BAME women, particularly when you're looking at honour-based abuse and FGM. And I think there is something about understanding how that works for women, in those communities, when you've grown up with it, having that intrinsic understanding, that subconscious understanding of what might or might not be wrong, is really important in policing, because that's how you change culture, that's how you enhance understanding, and that brings with it those advantages of, one, understanding, two, being able to engender that trust, and three, that confidence. And with that confidence is how we then start to make people safer and start to get prosecutions for things that actually should seriously not be happening.